Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cody Johnson with iFIBERONE, and we are broadcasting live in Moses Lake, the Moses Lake Irrigation and Rehabilitation District meeting. The meeting is set to start at 7 p.m. We're on the air a little bit early this evening. Thought I would take a quick moment. We can go over some of the agenda items that we'll be covering in tonight's meeting. Before we get to that, though, I want to recognize we got Kelly Ryan down in the studio, serving as our technical director. Kelly, can you hear me?
I can, Cody, and hello out there to the iFIber customers and subscribers. So we are ready to go here.
Technology is a wonderful thing, a wonderful thing. So a quick rundown of the agenda as we've got it here. In the new business agenda items, the need for a professional services contract for legal counsel, Harold Moberg is on the agenda for tonight. Letter from Charles and Darlene Evans. Letter from Jimmy Anderson. Action and response needs to be taken as a note on that item. Members of Chairman Hansen's advisory board will be stepping in to talk about compliance with Resolution 2012-038. The next item we've got is submission of the Chairman's Advisory Board's monthly meeting dates, place, time, referring back to compliance with Resolution 2012-038. The last item on there is follow-up for pre-application meeting for mechanical dredging, and Parker Horn is noted on that item. For those of you who have seen some of our live broadcasts, I do want to point out that the other Moses Lake Irrigation and Rehabilitation District meetings have been put available in our archives on iFiberChannel1.com, and I believe we've got 5 of the meetings up there. We just put up the one from March 13th. We
got 2 more to go, Cody. In fact, we are underway of up-resing the meeting from the 26th, and we've got the post-production done on the final meeting there in April 9th, I think, and we'll be up-resing that then for tomorrow. So all of the meetings should be on the site.
Yeah, and those that's raw video. That's the entire meetings.
Yeah, that's all just the raw stock. There's no editing involved. It's from beginning to end. The only time that we would turn the camera off is if they went into the executive session or they were to take a break during some of those early monstrously long videos.
Right.
So it's not edited. It's not beautiful. It's just as it happens. But we wanted to get it out there so if folks really wanted to get their own personal feel for what's happening, they can do just that.
But it is in high definition.
Yes, it is. So the resolution, or I'm sorry, the agenda looks pretty straightforward. Nothing stands out there.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You know, there is a note in here, a report on the upcoming hydroplane races, you know, which is always an exciting event for Grant County. You know, probably one of the most top 2 popular events that they've hosted. The other one being the fishing, the kids fishing derby that they put on. Of course, they weren't able to do that last year. Had a terrific turnout the year before. But it is nice to see the hydroplane races still planning to go off May 19th and 20th.
Always fun.
And that's right.
Those races. We're going to try. We're negotiating for it right now, but although we won't be able to broadcast those games live, Cody, we're seeing if we can't go ahead and, of course, record them and then show them, you know, after the event, you know, post of the event, but be able to give everybody a taste of that that fun. It is a absolute blowout. Tons of people, lots of stuff going on, and those races are exciting.
It is, and with the cameras we've got, like I said, high definition, we can zoom in pretty close to the action there. Should be an incredible tape delayed broadcast.
I agree, 100%. And again, the iFIber team will be bringing it to you here. I would say probably the following week after the weekend.
Yeah. I just noticed we on the agenda we do have. It looks like they'll be approving some minutes from some previous meetings, and you may not be aware of which minutes have not been approved.
It's really tough. I've been at these meetings, Cody, and all of them, in fact, up to point, and it's so overwhelming. These meetings, the first one were a series of over 10 hours between 3 different meetings, and that was all just the first meeting. And then when they did
under
March,
the umbrella of one meeting.
Yeah. So it's difficult to kind of say one way or the other on the minutes. I know that last meeting I think there was an approval of the minutes, but that was also one of the big items that the crowd got a little excited about. Because, and I say the crowd, these are the folks that show up out there in the audience, the ratepayers. But what they were upset about is, that first meeting, because it lasted for 3 days, over 10 hours of meeting, the way the meeting was done, it was difficult for the secretary to the board to then document that in minutes. Because the way that the chairman ran it, Chairman Mick Hansen, it was one of those things where he would go back over items on that second meeting and then go back over it again. And you had kind of a motion on top of motion. And anyway, even for us, to go back on video and review it, it was even difficult to track with that, let alone to be in the audience. And Julie Smith, who was the secretary of the board at the time, had to then go back and somehow create those minutes. So those minutes ended up being 76 pages of legal single-lined information, minutes. And so Mick and Rich Archer, in fact, I think Mick's the one, he redacted large pieces, and maybe large isn't the right word, but redacted what he didn't like in it. And I think that was the version that it was a 2-to-1 vote where Rich Archer, Mick Hansen voted, this was to be the minutes, and then, and I believe this is the way it was, and Ron Covey voted against. So I don't know. If there's the second group there, it would be probably that February 14th meeting, Valentine's Day, and they may be approving those next.
Yes, and that is what I show on the list here. Meeting from February 14th, March 13th, with continued meeting of March 27th and April 10th.
So you've got them all going to be approved tonight.
Say that again, Kelly?
So they're all going to be approved tonight? Is that what you're...
That's what I show.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's big. It'll be interesting to see how that... again, how that goes with the crowd.
Yeah. You never know. We should probably mention we got Kelly Wallace filling in as a temp. She's the secretary to the board of directors here at the MLIRD.
Well, to kind of talk on that,
we mentioned, I think,
for just a quick second. Sorry, I'm sorry.
We have a new legal counsel, Harold Moberg.
That's right. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in. And ladies and gentlemen, we're still kind of perfecting this part of the process. The big thing on Ms. Smith, who was the board secretary and has been for some time, resigned between, I think, the fourth or fifth meeting. And so, yeah, they had to go out and get somebody kind of in a temporary fill. And also about the same, in fact, I think it was the same meeting, the district's attorney, who had been there for some time over the years here, he also resigned. So what you've got is kind of a new group really sitting up there, Rich Archer and Ron Covey kind of being the only last two from, the earlier surviving years.
Yeah. We should probably just go over those, the members of the MLIRD Board of Directors. You mentioned Ron Covey, Rich Archer, and we've got Mick Hansen, the newest member, and he is serving as chairman recently elected.
That's correct. He is the newest one in. Very heated election process here last year. It was done around November, December, between him and Bill Bailey, and an extremely close election results. Mick, went over that just by a couple hundred votes at the end of the day. So he stepped in as a new board member there on that January 10th meeting, January 9th, I think, actually. Well, anyway, it was that first Tuesday, and was sworn in, and then was immediately voted in as chairman.
Yeah. So Mick, being the newest member, once again, I mentioned he's the chairman here at the MLIRD. And their general manager, Kurt Carpenter, don't want to forget to mention him.
Yep, Kurt's, again, been there for some time. Basically, when the older board, and we're going back 3 or 4 years and maybe longer, decided that they needed a professional staff in there. They went to look for an individual to fill that slot as the general manager, and found Kurt Carpenter. And he's done really a remarkable job, professionalizing our district. Up to that point, I mean, it was as I understand it, was run, a little loose, a little cowboyish, if you will. But go out, get the job done, get her done. And I'm not saying that in a negative sense. It's just kind of the reality. And I think they found themselves in trouble. They went out and started digging in the lake, and I think the sheriff's department showed up, and there was an arrest. And anyway, as a result of that, they decided that they needed some professional folks to come in, and Kurt did exactly that. He hired a great staff, and they've won awards. They've passed the audits so far, and not that I'm going to be a cheerleader for them or anything, but just stating the facts. They've passed the state audits with flying colors every year. So at least from what, again, as this reporter looking at the information, Kurt's been a big asset to the district, and I think he's been a great asset to the community here.
Yeah, and I think that, I hear that a lot too. I think a lot of people feel that way, not to take anything away from anyone from the time before he arrived, but he did. He kind of took it up a notch or two when he came on.
That's totally correct. I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were looking for comment there. But do you have any more, anything that stands out on the agenda there that you can see?
It's some other pretty standard stuff. Roll call, for the record announcements. We will hear the lake elevation report coming in to start things off early in the meeting. And they will identify citizens wanting to discuss agenda items and those who are wishing to discuss the non-agenda items. And I should point out that iFIBERONE is broadcasting this free of charge. I personally don't have a dog in the fight here. I know you don't either, Kelly. I'm not living in Moses Lake, don't own property around the lake. It's really kind of a public service that we're providing to the citizens here in Moses Lake.
That's right, Code. If there's two different ways you can watch Channel 1 or iFIBERONE, as it's becoming known better as. If you're a subscriber, a TV subscriber here, you automatically get Channel 1 with any of the iFIBER television packages, which start at $20 a month. But beyond that, anybody, if you're outside and part of the thing is you have to have access to fiber in order to get our service from the PUD. But if you live outside where you don't have access to PUD fiber, meaning that you don't have access to iFIBER, iFIBERONE, Channel 1, is broadcast 24/7 on iFIBERONE.com. So, again, if you're listening to this, if you're watching us on TV, you can also take us on the road and watch that channel 24/7. And a lot of the content here will also be set up on demand. So, if you miss it, no sweat. We've also got, as we said earlier, all of these videos that you can access on iFIBERONE. In fact, for the Moses Lake Irrigation District, you would go to the website of iFIBERONE.com. To the top right corner is a button there that's got the MLIRD logo. You click that, and then the full archive of all of these meetings are right there.
Yeah, that's really been kind of a neat thing for some of the people around here, being able to, some of the meetings, like you said, have gone late and
yes, they
been
have.
carried over. And, people are able to, either on their computer or their smartphone or mobile device, able to go back and review either the whole meeting or skip to a middle part that they might have missed, or in some cases the end part when those meetings did go late.
That's correct.
So,
well, Cody,
technology is wonderful.
I totally agree. Hey, we're going to take a minute here and cut out to do a break, and then I think when we come back, you and I can continue the dialogue, but we're getting fairly close to that time where I don't want to be scaring the crowd off, and they need to start coming in and getting seated. So I'm going to take a break here to go to a quick commercial, if you're okay with that.
No, that's great. Yeah, I think you're right. I think people are standing in the doorway thinking I might tackle them and interview them on live TV. So commercial break is probably the right call here.
All right. So you are watching iFIBERONE, and Cody is reporting live from the Moses Lake Irrigation District down there, right at the MLIRD. They're having their meeting here. They'll be starting in about, 12 minutes, 12 and a half minutes. So we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back to continue the iFIBERONE special production of the MLIRD meeting.
When it comes to experience, selection, and value, Moses Lake Music is the largest and most complete store you'll find in the Columbia Basin. If you have children in grade school, high school, or college, they offer monthly rentals of brass, woodwind, and percussion instruments. They also offer lessons from experienced professionals to help get that music lover in your life on the fast track. Moses Lake Music is a proud sponsor of student athletics throughout the Columbia Basin. Come visit us at 530 West Valley Road or give us a call at 764-6667.
For all those who don't know, Broadway Bar & Grill, located at 302 West Broadway, is the spot to be every night of the week. Monday through Wednesday night karaoke. Thursday night, ladies, it's all for you. Drink specials and a DJ. Friday night live music, blues, rock to heavy metal. And on Saturday nights, come get down with Big Daddy DJ Live and the official Corona party at Broadway Bar & Grill, 302 West Broadway in Moses Lake. Don't forget, we have great food, open breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hi, I'm Mark Fancher at Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home. It's still a good time to sell your home, provided you have the right agent. In today's market, it's more important than ever to have the right agent help you sell your home. And at Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home, you'll find sales associates who know how to market your home, help you with the right price, and maximize its curb appeal. Your home is probably the most important asset. Call Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home at 509-766-0300 today.
So you have a problem. You see, you have this company that wants to sell its, products and services into the entire market of the Columbia Basin. So how do you do that? Now, there's a whole new way. iFIBER's Channel 1 advertising. Channel 1 reaches the entire Columbia Basin. Yes, that includes areas like Moses Lake, Ephrata, Quincy, Soap Lake, Rural City, Grand Coulee, Electric City, Coulee City, Heartline, Mattawa, Desert Air, Warden, Wilson Creek, East Wenatchee, Bridgeport, and Waterville. All from one source. So to advertise on Channel 1, contact sales at iFIBER.tv or call us at 509-754-2600. So we are here live with Cody Johnson, who is our iFIBER1 anchorman that's actually in the field tonight. He's also, of course, our main sportscaster and the producer of iFIBER1 Channel 1 Sports. He is currently down at the MLIRD, which we are, it looks like about 7 minutes from getting underway. We're going to do a little dialogue here to fill the gap, and then we should be able to go live as to what's happening there. Cody, now, are you there, Code? It sounds like Cody is maybe having a hard time hearing us. It sounds like the audio is picking up. And of course, the camera being set up and are you there, Cody?
Yep, I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay. So, how big a crowd do we have there tonight?
Oh, about half full right now. About half full.
So when
but we do have a few minutes here.
We do, that's right. And like I say, it continues to fill really for the better part, man, I'd say 2/3 of the way through the meeting. And I've been in these meetings where, I mean, it's been filled out into the hallway. There's so many, every seat's been filled. So what's
standing room only, and it's kind of surprising we're not a little more full right now, but I do see some other people arriving, so we might end up with a full house here.
So what's the feeling like down there, Cody? You're kind of seeing, again, as I've been down there watching these meetings, it seems like, it's almost like the Hatfield-McCoys. You've got one group which sits with each other, and they're towards that back right corner, and then everything kind of forward of that, for the first couple rows, and to the left of that seems to be, that other group, which Mick Hansen in the last meeting actually called that group a lynch mob.
Didn't quite catch what you were saying there. From my end right now, Kelly, and maybe it's the ambient noise that's getting louder in the room here, but I am having a little bit of difficulty hearing you on your side.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying is that these groups that come to these meetings, Mick Hansen in the last April meeting actually called them a lynch mob, which I thought was kind of interesting because I've seen more hostility actually from the other side than the group that sits to the left, if you will. But either way, it's always, these meetings have gotten pretty exciting over the time here, and there's always lots of sparks flying back and forth. So I'm not sure if tonight might be one of the lesser of those exciting evenings or not. It'll be interesting to find out. I think now that you've got the attorney that's been, Harold Moberg is the new attorney for the district, who hasn't really had a whole lot of time to soak all this in. I mean, he's only attended one meeting. So it'll be interesting to see now if he's got a little more input to some of the questions that have been asked. And importantly, to have a good legal advice here. These are pretty important issues that these directors are discussing.
Yes, yes, definitely. Especially when, you know, some of these new items have been called into question, whether it does meet RCW law. You know, and it's like you said, he's had you know, one meeting under his belt, but you know, and maybe this is where my sports broadcasting will come in handy. Covered a lot of wrestling over the years, so yeah, you never know.
You may have to call out some of those, hey, that was a great takedown, 10 points there. Or let's hope it doesn't come to that. Well, folks, we've got about 3 minutes. Sorry, Cody, we've got 3 minutes. You have to understand, we have a slight delay because we're using VoIP to go from the control room to Cody's phone. So just like you see in the big, you know, any one of the primary news services, there's always just that little bit of lag there between the two that, you know, whenever you're going from studio to live, it's always a little tough. But Cody, you're getting ready to say something there. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, we're I think 99% of the way to being able to do this with no interruption with audio, and it is pretty cool. But yeah, we're still waiting on a couple small pieces that bring this all together, whether we're broadcasting news or sports or other events within Grant County. Eventually we'll be able to go anywhere and bring you high def video and perfect audio.
That's right. And you'll be sent into the weather, the rain, the snow, and I'll be in this nice, comfortable control room.
Yeah.
All right, we're about 2 minutes from Mick Hansen, the chairman, probably swinging that gavel and getting this meeting underway. Any little thoughts there? In fact, Coach, would you mind, can you pan the camera, you know, loosen that head a little bit, but can you pan the camera a little bit to the right, and let's see, you know, the crowd
Sure.
there. And are you zoomed all the way out? There you go. All right, so that's Harold Moberg right there talking to Kurt Carpenter. Yeah, that's a pretty thin crowd right there. Can you go a little more to the right? Okay. All right, so my guess is you're going to see a lot more people show up as we get underway. Are there a lot of folks still out in the lobby?
A couple.
Okay. All right, well, if you wouldn't mind, Code, we can go ahead and kind of swing back to the left there to the action about to get underway. And my guess is in about a minute and a half, Mick should be ready to go. And at that point, in fact, Code, if you want to go ahead and bring your mic down and bring up the ambient audios, we can get underway, unless you got any closing thoughts there before they go live.
Not yet, not yet. We might be able to squeeze in some interviews after the meeting. We'll see how it goes, how late it runs, but yeah.
And that sounds great. I know, again, like I said, if it runs long, we're slated to go from the 6:30 up to 10 o'clock tonight. So if the meeting cuts out early, we'll be able to, we've got set up to do some interviews with some of the folks there, one of which is the director at the chamber there, Debbie Martinez. We also, did Mick, when you asked him for doing an interview later, did he accept, Cody?
If you wanted an interview?
Yeah, if Mick Hansen was willing to do an interview.
Yeah. Well, you know, not in the beginning. We might catch him at the end. But yeah, they were trying to make sure they had all their ducks in a row with approving all those minutes from the meetings that we talked about earlier. So,
Code, I think you might be wondering a little far from the camera. We're getting some static there, but okay, that sounds good. I know that Ron Covey has offered to do an interview later on, and we're going to try to get some of the folks there in the audience as well. Get some opinions, get some feedback, see, you know, how folks are seeing what's happening here, how they feel about it. You know, this is our Moses Lake. The district is there to protect, to rehabilitate, and that water is used for irrigation around the lake. So it's an important asset. It is the asset. So we're underway here.
May 8th, meeting of the Moses Lake Irrigation and Rehabilitation District. Meeting's ordered. And at this point in time, I'd like to note that all three of our board members are here and that the meeting is being recorded.
Mr. Hansen, I'd like permission to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
We got the lake elevation.
1046.74.
1046.74. So that's pretty much up to the full level now. Okay, we will be jumping around the schedule here a little bit. This is not my schedule, it's normal. But rather than print mine up this time and get into a big argument, I've just deleted a lot of the stuff that's on here. So we're going to jump down to number 3, which is the approval of the minutes. We've got a number of minutes here in front of us. We've got February 14th, we've got March 13th, we've got the continuation of the March 13th, which went up to March 27th, and we got the April 10th. Have you run?
Mr. Chairman, I walked in and these minutes were part of my binder, and that was about 12 minutes ago. I have not had a chance to read through them, therefore I cannot vote on passage for these minutes without taking some time.
Well, I read through them. I got here early enough so that I could read through them.
I had another function for the EDC prior to coming here, so I left that early to get here.
You can have this one.
That was yours. I suggest that you have another meeting previously scheduled for Thursday.
Yes, special session.
Which is a public meeting, so you could probably address
That would give us
this.
time to read through them.
Then we can get it done as opposed to keep continuing it. I think that's appropriate.
That's an excellent suggestion, thank you.
You're
And, so we'll make sure that that is scheduled in for that special meeting. Ron, is that okay with you then?
Fine.
Okay, sounds great. Then we'll go ahead and leave all the minutes at this point in time open until that point in time, if you like. How about the February 14th? Have you had a chance to look through that one? I was given half of that one. I got all the even, or all the uneven pages, and evidently they're typed on both sides, and the copy they gave to me was only the odd pages, and so it was very hard to follow it. And so I finally did get all the pages, and I did get a chance to go through it all. And
I haven't seen a complete copy now.
okay, so let's take care of it same time. Yeah, let's get care of all the minutes at that point in time.
Table until 10.
Table until Thursday, which will be the 10th. Okay. I might add that Kelly has got it brought up to date. And Kelly, I want to thank you for spending the time to, and I thought you did an excellent job on it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to public comment at this time. Anybody that's got comments that would like to make comments. But before we do this, I want to introduce our guest here tonight, Larry Boone. He's our HR person that has actually been hired here to come in and maybe help figure out some of what's going on here. And I want to welcome him, and I want everybody to work with him as much as possible here. So Larry, thanks very much for showing up here early tonight.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and open it up to public comment. And if anybody's got comments here, I'd like to go ahead and open it up and give you 3 minutes to say what you'd like to say. We do have another guest here. I see you just walked in here, and that's Bill Stevenson. And I see a press card there, but I'm.
I'm with iFIber News.
You're with where?
iFIber channel.
Okay, great. Glad to see that. Any other people like to make a comment? Last call. Any other people that like to make a comment? Okay, well, we'll move on. We are now on to page 2, number 6A, which is the Michael and Sherry Grove Golden Acres. Needs to be presented. I thought that we had already done that.
If the last meeting, I'd asked you to continue it so that Kurt and I could review the publication to see if it met the code.
Okay.
Kurt and I have done that. We're going to have to republish.
Okay, so
I think Kurt's got it for you.
Okay, great.
I provided Harold in his review. He discovered the article had in the paper, the advertisement in the paper for this had dropped out a very important paragraph that has to be in there legally.
Okay.
So we're going to have to republish and restart this process. And I just, with Julie being away, I got through her files and found what she has in the files doesn't match what got to the paper. So I don't know with Tracy emails and stuff where that got dropped.
In fairness, what we had in the file was correct,
Yeah.
but it didn't make it to the newspaper. Don't know why, but caution tells us to do it again.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to put it on hold again for another month.
Well, I think we're more than that. I think Kurt's going to start the process over with publication.
Yeah, immediately with the publication.
Okay.
So I think we have enough days. Next meeting, you'll have your first open public meeting.
And I apologize, last meeting, we have a new reporter here from the Herald, and I didn't introduce him, but Stephen Weibel is our new reporter. The last one we had here got promoted, and so Stephen got handed down the job here. So I feel for you, Stephen, but you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate it, pretty much reporting the facts of the last meeting. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on ahead here to item number 9, and that start with A there. And Kurt, you want to go ahead and take that one?
Yeah, that was taken care of on Monday. Harold and I had that contract put in place on yesterday morning.
So that's done.
That's done.
That's a done deal. Okay. And the letter from Charles and Darlene Evans. Is that still pending, or what do we have on that one? Well, we had that pretty well.
There was no action taken on that, there was discussion. Was that the one you were going to talk with?
Yeah, I talked to him, and there's no action taken because they didn't ask for action, but they did ask for a letter. And Kelly, that's one thing, and I don't know if it was in the minutes.
What I had put in the minutes was Chairman Hansen explained that he had spoken with Charles and Darlene Evans, and they no longer wanted a release of their membership in the Moses Lake Irrigation and Rehabilitation District.
But we do have to send them a letter.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Requesting you do so.
Could I get you to add that to the minutes, or whatever, or put it in this month, since I was coming back again, maybe even rather than change last month's, we'll go ahead and just say that this month that they did request a letter, and make sure that we get that sent to them.
Sure.
I'll leave that. Harold, can you put that on your to
I'd be more than happy. I didn't know whether Kurt would do it for the district or ask me, whichever. Let me know.
Whatever you want.
Well, I prefer that Harold possibly do it and make sure that we're covered. When we're turning somebody down, I think that we need to handle it.
Kurt, would you provide me the address so that I can do the letter?
And I think we've got the same thing there on Jimmy Anderson, so maybe we can do 2 of them, same request. Okay, D, There's been some discussion last meeting about this. This is the members of the Chairman Hansen's advisory board. So far, we've never actually had a meeting of the advisory board as a total meeting. We've had some of the members that went with me to Olympia. We've had other members that have went with us to the meeting that we had with the agencies. But Harold, I wanted to address that with you. If I could.
I've read the resolution. I have read the governance policies and know they're suspended. Since Mr. Boone is here and he's the HR consultant, and we have another meeting, perhaps that'd be a great discussion in the study session to talk about what is the role of advisory panels or people, and let's get hear from Mr. Boone when he gets on the clock.
Okay, because they are strictly advisory. They make no decisions, and so like I say, you got 2 or 3 people that are strictly doing advisory. I find it very cumbersome to have to notify the newspaper that we're actually going to have a meeting and have 2 or 3 of us together at one point in time. But we can work with it.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to talk with Larry, but okay. I'm kind of throwing it into his
okay, I realize that, and that's great. We'll catch him cold here, but if we can work with that on Thursday, is that something that Kurt and you kind of fill him in as well? Maybe when we were talking with him, what we're talking there, but I think that we take that resolution. I think it's a different resolution number than what
It's called out on there.
Yeah,
I'll make sure you get the right one.
Yeah, it's 2012-03, and I don't know where that 8 came on there, which made it to 38. But I think it's just 03, the way I read it. But unless
well, it's probably because it matches her. Number.
You think she renumbered them because we made it 2012, and that was the 3rd one that we did.
Be my guess that she numbered it to be.
So she might have went with some other numbering system there, but anyway, if you can't find it under 38, then look under 03. Okay, you got down here follow up on pre-application meeting, mechanical dredging Parker Horn, and I'm not sure exactly what you're.
Well, there was a letter from the city. Did you receive that?
A letter from where?
From Ann regarding that meeting.
How long ago? Was it in here?
It was right after that. Yeah, probably.
I got one.
It was right after the last meeting.
Okay, okay. When we had the meeting, I've gotten one letter since then.
It was after, yeah, it was after our last board meeting.
Was that, no, okay, no, I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that.
Do we have a copy of it?
Should be in correspondence, I believe, but let me.
Let's see, I'm seeing one. Looks like it's from Ann Henning, and it's dated April 20th, so
Yeah,
it's on 5. Got the 5 sticker tied to it.
Okay.
Oh, no, this one's mine. In regards to.
Oh, this is 2, I'm sorry.
Right here, it's on 7.
7, okay.
And that was received on April 20th. Pretty much what we had at the meeting there, I think, as far as kind of the recap of it. I do have
I talked about it last meeting. I do have a proposal for an engineering firm. They work out of Moses Lake and they work all over the world as far as that goes. Their name is Cardinal Entrex. And I don't know if you've heard of the name or not. This is a proposal that they've given to us to do the work as far as getting the permits. They came up with a pretty good idea, I thought, that possibly might speed this thing up quite a bit with the Corps of Engineers. And I'm not sure if I can find it here or not in a short time frame here. But they said that they can probably cut the cost in half almost if we can use what they call nationwide permits. Have you been familiar with anything on that here? Mm-hmm. And if they can make this thing fit into that category, they can put it on the fast track. And
we couldn't get it to qualify last time, not to say that you won't.
Yeah.
That's what we did. We were aware of that.
Okay. Well, anyway, I would like permission to go ahead and hire this firm, and we've got to move on it. I mean, we can't sit here and let time keep going by on us here, and I think we do have to move on it. But Ron?
Yeah, Mick, I've never heard of this outfit. You say they're local. Know nothing of them. You didn't provide this information for Mr. Archer or myself. We haven't had a chance to look through any of their qualifications, their backgrounds, their past history, or anything, and to ask us to go ahead and hire them at this point is beyond my scope of thinking at this time, simply because they're just a name to me right now. And so we need more time with this information provided to both of us before we connect on that.
Okay, well, why don't I give this to you, Kurt, if you don't mind. This might be another thing that we could possibly work on Thursday, and you can make copies of it.
Can I interject something?
Sure.
Last meeting,
I did bring it up last meeting, so that
I recommended that we go to an RFP process, which it actually should be an RFQ for qualifications. Our legal advisor agreed with me. I have prepared that documentation for you in the back. As a government agency, proper procedure is to go out for qualifications for consultant engineering and go through that process. I did provide this to Harold this morning. I don't know that he had a chance to look at the paperwork I put together for him or not, if he has any comments in regards to this.
I haven't given a legal opinion as to whether it needs to go to bid or not. I have looked at it. I think it probably needs more discussion. It sounds like that's what you guys are doing.
well,
I'm not
comes
sure
to
that-
hiring an engineer and an engineering firm, say that you can go out for bid on it.
The statute addresses up to 50,000. We agree. I have no idea what, I looked at the proposal today. I don't know what amounts we're talking about, so it's very hard for me to say, you need to take it to public bid. If the request for services is under 50,000, I'm not sure we do. Is it prudent or a policy decision to take it to public bid? That's beyond what you want me to tell you.
Okay.
But if the services are under 50,000, I don't believe the statute requires you to take it to bid.
My reading this here, it would not come in under 50,000.
So I have no way of knowing that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm reading in here. It's saying that we're running anywhere, depending on whether we put them on a fast track, probably come in somewhere around 75,000. If it's
But I'm speaking of the professional services, and Kurt, maybe you can provide.
I don't know, because I'm kind of been removed on, Mr. Hansen's kind of running this one, so I don't know.
Well, with your RFQ, do we propose or do we feel that the engineering services would exceed the $50,000?
I would say yes.
Then I think the answer is that you have to go to public bid. But I don't know.
But how do you?
Mr. Covey, I think, was going to ask me something. So.
Well, so that our ratepayers understand what's going on, perhaps Kurt can explain what an RFQ and an RFP are and why we have to go to bid if it's over the 50,000. Would you, Kurt?
Well, I can attempt to. An RFP is for the total project, which would be a request for proposal. What we're looking for in engineering services, which is a consultant service type. So it's actually called a request for qualifications, and you lay out the format in which you want them to present their qualifications to you. They submit it like a bid package, you open it, there's a scoring process that goes through. You want the highest score receives the contract if they are capable of taking that contract. Just like a bid, you go to the next qualified bidder if they aren't able to take the job or you aren't able to come to an agreement in your price with that contract.
If I might add, the idea of using this process is to be objective in nature. In other words, you're not pulling your buddy in to do a project or do the job for the district, or somebody that you know, or your wife's cousin's uncle. You know, it's who's the most qualified to do the job, and I think that's important. So for that reason, I think that we need to follow through with the RFQ, since it does exceed the $50,000, or the anticipation is it would exceed the $50,000.
Pretty sure it will, because I have no idea what you had in it last time, and that was lesser than what we're asking for this time. So I'm guessing you probably had 300,000 into it by the time you finish it.
Well, I don't know if we had that much in it as far as engineering, but just for an example, our architects we brought on to do the conceptual process for the park was $85,000, and that was just the conceptual. There wasn't any permitting or anything involved in it, so.
All right. So,
yeah. Okay, now, if we set this out to bid, are we just talking about these two companies?
No, it goes out in the advertisement. There's a process you have to follow.
So anybody that does this type of business could put a bid on it, and we just take a look at it.
It's actually a qualification. The process, if you look at it, it asks for to spell out their qualifications in a certain format, and then you guys open it as bid packages or sealed packages, and then we go through and we score them.
Okay.
How soon could a guy get this started?
Well, there's a schedule, tentative schedule I have in that RFQ. If you look back under 11.
What number are you under?
11, and it'd be the second document there. Which right in the front says RFQ, and then there's a table on the second page that I have tentative events laid out on the table. Keep going with your document. There's the first page, and the second page has the schedule. Tentative.
Can I make a request? I,
You
last
get
two
one?
meetings haven't gotten all of the documents, so
No.
it's hard to do the minutes when I don't know.
I apologize, let me give you mine.
Well, no, you go ahead. I'll just, afterwards, if I could get a copy, that'd be great. I'm sure you don't need it for reference.
Are these dates that you're talking about here?
That's my tentative schedule.
Okay. All right.
Those may change once Leo gets a chance to look at it.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's a couple months down the road, but if you think you can work around this kind of a schedule, I think that's more than acceptable.
Yeah, as long as it follows the process, and then we can set really appreciate the legal opinion on the process.
Okay. All right. Somebody like to make a motion here on, let Kirk go ahead and proceed with this?
Well, I think that, a little discussion, I think it makes sense to me that we do it this way. I'd like to make a motion that we have Kirk go forward with this. From his proposal, it looks like he's anticipated at the end of it around August? No.
July 16th.
July 16th.
Looks like.
I might ask if I might have counsel, I don't know that a motion is necessary in this case. Your general manager is doing what he's required to by law, so.
Sure, whatever you want to do.
My feeling, it doesn't hurt. Seems to me that confirming it by a motion is prudent.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we ask Kirk to go forward with the proposal.
Okay, second.
Second, I guess.
Second, okay. Discussion?
I'm good.
Okay, the motion has been made to ask Kurt to go ahead and start with these scheduled events, which would be looking for an engineering firm for doing mechanical dredging. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All three of us vote aye. Okay, great. Kurt, would you like that I hold on to this and have them hold on, submit it at the right time, and have it so they can open it?
That'd be great.
Okay?
No one disqualified.
Yeah, right, that's for sure. Okay. We talked about having 2 sections in the newspaper as far as letting people know kind of what the irrigation district is doing, and then also having 2 of your Lakeview publications going out for the year. And I'd like to suggest that we go ahead and maybe try and get, before the end of the month, if it's possible, that we get a full-page ad in the newspaper, in the Columbia Basin Herald. I talked to Velma today, and she said there is a special going on, and that until the end of the month that we can get a full-page color ad for $769. And I think that's probably as good a rate as I found over a number of years here. So $769 for 1 full-page ad. And I would like permission from the board to work with Kurt and see if we can't get something put together and let everybody know what's happening here.
Do you have a topic or anything?
Well, I just want to, yeah, I want to pretty much go over what the minutes have accomplished, and be to where we can let people know that what motions have been made, and what we've done, and what's happened from the 1st of January until now. I will work with you on Kurt if that's possible, and we can get, I don't want to take any more staff time because I want to stay on that refund. And I don't want to see the Lakeview come out until we get the refund process in operation going. So this might be a good interim ad to go ahead and let people kind of know what's happening.
So we're talking about past things, basically?
Things that have come up to
date.
To date, yeah, yeah. And maybe even a future note as far as what we're looking at for hiring an engineering firm and different things here. But basically, what's been accomplished up to date.
Now, is this something that Ron and I can take a look at if you guys have?
Oh, I would expect that, yeah. But we won't be able to bring it to a meeting in time. So if we try and stay in under this, it's got to be in by the end of the month.
We can call them in for reviews.
Huh?
I'd call them in individually for review.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great if we can do that. And then you'd like to make a motion on that, or is that?
Do we need to? Or just direct it?
I just been making motions on almost everything here, so it's clear what's happening, so I appreciate a motion on it that Kurt and I work together to get ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have Kurt and Mr. Hansen here will come and add for us for the pump basin route, and we're going to stay within the $769 budget that we'd like to do it for, and that me and Mr. Cody will come in and take your review.
I want to keep it real positive, but on the other hand, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened, and I want to make sure that everybody has a good idea of what all has been accomplished. You want to second that, Ron, or is that?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I'll second. All those want to have discussion on it? No? Discussion? Okay, all right. The motion is to allow Kurt and I to put an ad together for the Moses Lake in the Columbia Basin Herald and have it done before the end of the month and take advantage of the rate. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Okay, Kurt, you're kind of getting down to the manager's report. Let's go ahead and start on the update on the report.
You go back to 11, I provided your documentation. I made a map for people to reference.
Okay.
You'll have to forgive me, I'm using a microscope for the overhead, so it's going to change with the lighting. It might get a little blurry and focus back and forth. There should be a map coming up to show you these sites. Start with a letter. General manager or expect to submit staff reports to the board of directors in written format. As I had stated in the April board meeting, I have evaluated 3 feasible locations for the placement of manufactured home purchase for Conley Park. The locations are noted on this map coming up as Exhibit A. An evaluation of each of these locations is as follows. Let me wait for the map. Okay, give you this is McConaughey Road right here. This is the new entrance coming into the park. This is the old entrance. This is the main park, boat launch area down here. Location site A is located above the overflow gravel parking lot, which is located right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. This is a new wrinkle into the system here that we haven't been able to necessarily see before. So if this does happen again, our camera will be the other side of the room so that we can also present this to you. So we'll, again, from iFIBER team here, we apologize.
Not side A.
I'm sorry.
All this is right in here.
Yes,
yeah, well,
anyway,
but the brown area we're looking at, there's never been parked on it.
No, it's
on
too
the hillside
steep.
there, and
It's
been recently
10%.
leveled, I see, but
it's a gravel parking area, above the gravel parking area on a 10% plus slope at this location right here. It requires a 6-foot cut and a 7-foot fill in order to prepare for the placement. Requires a pad mount transformer at the building site due to the distance from the source. PD wants to pull it off a power pole up here, so that length for a drop requires a pad mount transformer to be located next to it. The overhead estimate will be $5,000. The underground estimate $7,000. Requires sewer system design and installation, which a low estimate is $7,500 for that. Requires compaction and compaction testing on the 7-foot fill area, estimated about $1,000 for that site location. Site B, which is an area that we cleaned up We removed this area to fill for this new road, and this has been leveled, compacted already. It's at about a 2% grade. It requires additional permitting due to the proximity of it to the shoreline. Requires sanitary sewer system design and installation. Estimated cost is $3,500 if Department of Health would approve us to hook to the drain field that's located right here for the bathrooms. Otherwise, that would be same as the other one, $7,500. Requires a power mount transformer as well at the building due to the site distance from the power source. Same price as overhead power, 5,000, underground power, 7. Requires 600 foot additional service for water. Water main, see the well house is located right here. The new water main will be ran down right here, come around, follow the new road down to this point. There also will be a water main coming down here with a fire hydrant placed here and a service to the bathroom. So you would have to run water along here to a crossing that we have already here to run it to the site. So you'd have an additional cost in running the water service line, which would be about $2,000 estimate. Site C, located at this point, only requires a disconnect 15 feet from the trailer. There's a transformer already here. We can go underground to the disconnect 15 feet outside the trailer and then up through the pad to the trailer. That's estimated cost of $600 for power. Requires a letter from the engineer for capacities. There was a septic tank installed by B&B Works in '92 when he repaired this drain field and connected into it, and it's never been used. So it was an approved portion of the construction in '92. All the Department of Health requires is the engineer to send them a letter stating that the drain field will sustain the capacities for both uses still. And that certificate letter estimate's about $400. Staff's recommendation, after evaluating the 3 sites and discussing the site's conditions with Washington State Department of Health, Grant County PUD, and Grant County Building and Planning, staff recommends the site placement of the manufactured home to be at C for the following reasons. Cost savings of over $13,000 for service connections and installation. The site provides adequate viewing of the park and the marina. You can look down here and see the marina and everything from that point. The site places a manufactured home in the eye of the public up where people can see it for the safety of the person in the home as well as people seeing what that person in that government building is doing. The site provides park gate access. Our gates are here. And also there's an existing gate here which can be secured to help secure their site as well so people aren't coming in with vehicles to that. Provides security for equipment compound. The eyes on the equipment compound. It also provides security for the water services and well house at this point. Plans and permit for this location. I have about 90% complete and almost ready to submit. A couple days I can have this site ready to submit.
Okay.
Do we leave that map up there for discussion?
Yeah, sure. Well, just open discussion on it.
Go ahead.
I know we kind of initially talked about Site A as being our probably the most logical site, being its proximity to the park, the ability for the manager to just kind of look down there, also for the people that are in the park to get up to it with just a short walk. Site C, the only thing I see is that it's a long ways up that dang hill. That's a really big problem.
For who?
Well, for the people using the park and also for the manager, if he's sitting up on top of that hill trying to look down the park and see what's going on, he's not gonna be able to see a heck of a lot.
You see more there than any of the other sites.
So how close you talking about putting a trailer house to the edge of the hill there?
It'd be right on the edge. Be hanging so the deck would overhang the edge, so they could walk out on the deck.
So, now for people to get up there to it, how would they access that?
They're gonna drive up there just like they're gonna go to any of the others. Nobody's gonna walk up to that site or the other site. They're gonna drive over there.
Rich, may I ask you, why are people going to be walking up there to where this guy lives?
Well, he's the guy that's the park manager, right? So for whatever reason they do.
No, he's a security officer. So what?
He's a park ranger. He's
Park ranger, whatever. But the point of this, why would people want to go up and walk up there? I don't understand that.
Well, just for ease, I would think so. I mean, if they're putting their boat down there and their trailer and their camper or whatever, they'd have to basically disconnect everything just to drive back up there. Am I wrong?
Well, I would hope that that person's not sitting in that.
And what?
In that mobile home all day long. They should be
I
out
understand
on
that.
site.
I understand that. But when things happen down there, I mean, they happen they need attention. They need attention pretty quickly, right? So what's your response time from the top of that hill compared to the bottom of the hill?
Essentially the same.
No.
You have a vehicle, you drive down either way.
You got a half mile, you could run down over that hill right there from site A. I thought we pretty well had decided that we were gonna use site A, and I'm very shocked to see that we got these other options even in the pictures. But for somebody to try and get from the park up to site C, what's the elevation change there? You've got probably, what, 80 feet of elevation change? By the time you get up to the top of that hill?
Probably 60.
I mean, it's not something that somebody would want to try and run up that hill there, and
Most people, when they go down to the park, and just, with a few exceptions, generally they haul the boat down there or a camper or something like that. I don't know if you got a whole lot of single car action down there.
Can I ask somebody who works at the park what actually
Sure.
happens down there?
Sure. Okay.
Chris, you started down there. How often do you get?
No one comes to talk to you about anything. If there's something going on, you usually are the one talking to them about something. No one ever talks to you about anything.
well, if you got residents there, and they know that you're up there, and they know that you're the park ranger, they're gonna be occasionally.
We got the office building that's right there, and the most time that we spend in that office is in 2 15-minute breaks and our 30-minute break. The rest of the time we're out in the yard all day long.
And like was just mentioned, you know, if the guy's supposed to be the park ranger, then we don't want him setting a mobile home up there 24 hours a day. He should be down in the park doing the work. So he's available just by sight, you know, people can see him in a uniform.
We're not expecting him to be working 40 to however many hours you're talking. He'll be there and he'll make his presence there, but as far as him being down there working.
Well, Mick, you said earlier though, you were going to fire a couple of the employees that worked in the park, and he was going to take over their duties.
I'm saying that he may take over some of the duties. We're not going to say that he's definitely going to take over the duties. We may end up hiring. We've had other people mow the lawns, and we've had other things happen over the years. So, to what extent somebody that we hire goes in there, for sure they'll be having security, and they will probably be doing some of the jobs like checking the bathrooms and all that stuff. As far as the maintenance goes and working down there 8 hours a day, I don't expect that at all. But I just, when you go down there and stand on those two sites, site C, you're so remote from it and so far back from it, you can't see down in there with the darn. Site A, you're sitting right there, a bird's eye view looking right straight at it. And I think we could probably put the thing up on top there cheaper. But as far as, we're already spending $80,000 for a unit, and to think by saving $10,000 or so to put it up there rather than down below, that's
We gotta look at
not the wisest use of the money as far as
we gotta look at long term. Mike?
Hey, Mick. I've worked out there a few years too. Where your side A is, all you're seeing is that Jersey rail and maybe the top of a few trees in the upper section of the park. Side C, you actually look down over it, you can see all the way down to the boat launch. And side B even is a better viewing area than side A.
Well,
And that's personal experience.
yeah. You get on the deck of a house up there, and you're gonna be up considerably higher than what you were.
In fact, this weekend, I was working in the area just below side B, had an incident in the park. I was down there within 10 seconds.
Well,
So, I mean, there's,
Ron's got his hand up there, so you can't.
so, I mean, in all reality, to get from side A down to there, when you look at the roads, you're going about the same distance because that is non-transverse ground there. That is steep cobbled ground. You got to go all the way down around the road, all the way down to the gravel parking lot, then down from your area. On B, you got a straight shot down into there.
But you're
And
considerably
C,
lower, Mike.
and
You're a lot lower.
Yeah, but you're a lot lower. You're out of line of sight.
Like you said, you can't see over that Jersey barrier.
Yeah, Ron, go ahead.
You mentioned it just a minute ago, Rich, that we need to plan for the future and look ahead. As you both know, I was not in favor of making this purchase. I thought it was premature, and I thought it was a bad choice, and actually a waste of money at this point in time to spend it for this. But in looking at the three sites and looking into the future, if this park ranger now you're calling him, if he doesn't work out, at least Site C would offer the opportunity for transition of that mobile home unit into an office for the district. And up on top to where it could be seen, could be accessed from the entrance road. And so, like I say, you haven't been able to provide us with your, what did you call it, your assessment as to how it's going to pay for itself in 2.5 years. You said it was just in your head. Until I can see that we can actually do this in a reasonable period of time, I'm very skeptical to put this on site A or B, because if it doesn't work there, then we're just out the money for the unit. We'll just have to pull it up and sell it. At least if it's at site C, it still is a usable commodity in the future.
Well, I think if you think that it's not going to succeed, I have no reason to see that it won't, Ron, and I guess that's why I probably move into it. Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Well, why don't I make a suggestion, maybe all three of us can go out there before our next meeting, next Thursday, and take a look. Go stand up on the hill and take a look over the hill, stand in the parking lot A, B, and C, and for three of us, with Kurt, and have a little discussion, and then maybe we can come back down here on or maybe individually, and then we can come down here during the meeting on Thursday and discuss it again.
I've been out there and been on site and covered it, but hey, if you want to cover it on Thursday, I think that's a good suggestion. Ron, is that something?
Yeah, I've been out there too, and I happen to agree with the assessment that's been provided for us.
Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and hold off until Thursday? It'll be another thing that we can.
I would like to go out there and stand up there and look, you know, and take a look over the hill and see exactly what I can see. I mean, that's, it's kind of tough to look down from satellite.
Okay. All right, that's agreeable to you, Ron?
Sure.
Okay. For Thursday? Ron?
On Thursday?
I said yes. Okay. All right, well, we'll postpone it until Thursday.
Mr. Hansen, I have a question. Jennifer Powell. You mentioned at the last meeting that...
We are cut off public comment.
I thought we could ask questions anytime.
No.
When did that change?
You have your 3 minutes to ask questions or make comments or whatever there, and that's kind of why
We didn't know what we were talking about.
Well, that's why you got the agenda the same as I have here. But we do try and we're limiting conversation after the meeting gets going here, and it's been taken advantage of, and so we're quite honestly until quiets down and things stay under control better, we're limiting it to the 3-minute comments that you're allowed to have at that time.
You might, I might make a suggestion, you have that at the end of the meeting and instead of the beginning.
Yeah.
Since we have no idea what you're gonna cover, we haven't seen your agenda.
That's the chance you take. I mean, that's, I'm sorry, here's the agenda, so this is the same thing here, so.
Yeah, but you're not going off this agenda.
Well, more so than ever before.
Okay, so Kurt, is it okay if I call you? Will you be available the next day or two to go take a look at that?
Oh, yeah. Got the part of the work now.
Okay, so I'll just keep you calling when I get out of school. It's just a short trip for me over there. Okay, be great.
Somewhere I buried my agenda here.
Yeah.
Right there.
No, that's the first outreach. Should have stapled them together, I guess. Not here. Okay. Kurt, we're back on you again.
Okay. Update on the north outlet structure. We resubmitted the right-of-way permit. Staff has installed the Jersey barrier and sealed it with sealer for graffiti. All graffiti proof. It's not really proof. It helps.
Resistant.
Resistant. So that's in place. So it is now protected and approved by the county road district. Inboard hydroplane races.
Yeah, can we go back to the structure? Is this in-house or is this something we hired to have somebody come in and?
We did. Chris and I and Mike.
Okay.
Prepped it. We hauled out the ballast and everything because it turns and goes into the sand.
Great.
We prepped all that the day before, and then we had the Jersey barrier delivered.
Okay.
We set it all in place, and then we staff applied the
Coating
seal on
on it. Okay, so it was pretty much in-house and.
Yes.
Okay.
Inboard hydroplane races at Conley Park, May 19th and 20th. There's been some confusion with the associations, I should say. We've changed associations, who's running it. Myself and Ron and Julie, we are the committee for
Solar Cup.
Solar Cup. We go out to get funds for the awards and things for this to help promote to bring them over the end. Should be pretty successful this year. I believe we only got one GP coming, so there'll only be one train, so it might be a little bit slower going this year as far as getting the races off. But looking forward to that. We still will have high numbers of boats. It's just the big boats. It looks like they had a lot of them break. First race is out, and they're going to be ready for the race. So really only have one or two of the Grand Prix. Larry Boone's contract, we got that in place. Professional services. I'm glad he could make it. The meeting tonight. We'll start his process tomorrow. The interviewing the staff. Proposed revision Parker Horn Shoreline Conditional Use Permit. If you look back, I think that's in the correspondence. Let me find what number. I wrote a letter, and I'll explain it. And that'll be on 5. The proposed revision to Parker Horn for the shoreline conditional use permit, which was for the return water. There was confusion going on with the Army Corps of Engineers, city, for the reason that this revision requires 404 and a 401, which is 404 is with the Corps permit, 401 is with the Department of Ecology, as well as the mechanical grid. So there was some confusion going on there. And with the 10-inch pump, I can read this, what the letter that I wrote. I'm writing in regards to proposed revision to the existing Parker Horn Dredge shoreline conditional use permit submitted January 25th, 2012. The revision was to return some dredge water to the lake by surface flow. MLIRD staff has been performing annual repairs and maintenance on the hydraulic dredges, doing discovery that the 10-inch main suction pump was in such poor internal condition that it was only operating about 30%. The result of the dredge pump was much more water, less sediment than if it was operating normal efficiency. The pump has now been rebuilt to manufactured standards. The evaluation from Grady & Associates Coast and Harbor Engineering of the secondary pond, infiltration pond, indicated that it can be modified to greater increase the infiltration rates. Improved infiltration and pump efficiency anticipated to result in the increase of sediment production rates in the future. With this being said, I feel that the best course of action, MLIRD, is to continue dredging as authorized under the current permit rather than to pursue the revision of the surface water return. Thus, by retracting the revision submitted January 25th, 2012, we also hope to reduce potential confusion regarding the proposal for the mechanical dredge. And the reason that I went this way was because I didn't want this to be a bottleneck for the mechanical dredge permit, and all we'd have to do is deepen the secondary pond by 3 feet to increase the infiltration and hydraulic pressure. So it'd be a simple fix. And basically all we have to do to maintain this permit is to resubmit for the HPA under our current, because we started this process, it was removed, now we got to reinstate it. That will keep this permit current. And it won't confuse it.
Yeah, I found it very interesting to be made aware of the fact that the dredge, though we were told, according to our general manager, the dredge had been rebuilt prior to our purchase, but when it was torn apart and redone or rebuilt this year, it was found that that statement by, who was the company again, Kurt? Ed?
Machine shop.
No, but the people you checked with that built the dredge. Starts with an E.
It's Ellicott.
Ellicott. Ellicott had informed us that it had been rebuilt when in fact it hadn't. And after it was torn apart to be rebuilt this year, it was determined that it could only function at 30% capacity. So what was accomplished last year was with 1/3 of the capacity that the unit can do and will do now that it has been rebuilt. With that thought in mind, and because of the fact that we have the permits in place, and beginning July 1, we could put the dredge back in the water, and we could continue the dredging project. Last year, realizing that it did not cost in excess of $1 million, as been quoted by our chairman, it was roughly $250,000. I feel that it would be proper and would also meet with the approval of our ratepayers to see that dredge operational again while we wait to see if we can get the permits that you're requesting to work in the dry, as you call it. So with that having been said, I would move that we reverse the earlier decision and allow the dredging project to resume as of July 1, 2012. And I would ask for a second.
Can we discuss a little bit here?
Need a second for discussion.
Going to have a second before we discuss it. So you second it. And because you second it, you don't have to vote for it. So you can second it and ask for discussion. You can go that way, or if you want it to die, don't second it. You second it. Because it dies for lack of a second. To make a comment, we don't have the money this year, quite honestly, to go out here and put this dredge in the water. We have got an obligation that's close to $500,000, and when we get the paperwork done and those notices go out for refunds for money that's been collected that's not legally done, say it how you want, whether it was a mistake or however, but nevertheless that money has been collected, and there's close to $500,000 that's got to be accounted for here. How much of it's going to be asked for to be refunded, I have no idea. Whether it's going to be 10% or it's going to be, I mean, we've already refunded probably $150,000. Is that a rough ballpark number?
What we've already paid out, yeah.
Somewhere around 150,000, which means we've still got somewhere around 300,000 more to go. And I do not want to go out here and spend much money as it's going to take to run that dredge for another year until we got this obligation taken care of. And that's my feeling. Ron?
But I just don't quite understand why you're willing to spend $100,000 for your mobile home up there, and yet we could get by without that, allow the dredge to continue, and at least the ratepayers would see that we're working diligently to improve the quality of the lake, whereas right now nothing is being done.
We have said we will go back to it on 2013. July 1, 2013 is the startup date for the dredge again, and I think that's going to give us a chance to get done what we want to do, and not sit here and work all year to get 5,000 yards. You may have a chance to get more mud in relation to the water, but at the very best, you're not going to go past 15–16%, and your water is still going to be your biggest problem that you got there. You're going to be shut down most of the time, waiting that water to get rid of that water, and that's the biggest problem with what we have right now. Rich?
You know, my thoughts on this thing is I look at that pile of dirt we got over there. It's pretty small. Even if you double it, it's still not enough. It's not even close. And I think to put that kind of money into this project right now, when we got everything rebuilt, ready to go, if we are able to go back in and do it in the dry, that's going to be an awesome tool for us to do the cleanup that we're talking about. So, I mean, we're ready to go on the dry project, even using the dredge. We need to use the dredge, ready to go. So, I think trying to compare it to the trailer house, there's two different things. I mean, the public's going to see our improvements in that park when they're able to go down and use it more than three or 4 days a week. Right now we're open from Wednesday to Sunday. Is that right?
Yeah, Monday opens up 7 days a week.
Okay. So anyway, just the fact that we're having a park ranger up there is going to increase the time that the park's going to be open all through the whole year. And so I think that's where our public's going to see an improvement that we're using for our motorhome, our mobile home.
I'm going to continue on with the dredge repair. Or the dredge pump, I guess, would be the next.
Which I can show real quickly what we're talking about. I don't think everybody has a clue about. Let me show you the location. I'll throw that one up there. The 10-inch pump sits right here. This is the end of the dredge that does the suction. There's a pipe. The water and mud come through here. This is the pump, comes back out, goes out the tail end. It's connected to the pipe. This is the 10-inch pump that we're discussing that we had to rebuild. The pump repair itself was $24,000. I had the cooler for the pump was marginal, so we installed a new cooler as well, which is a unit down here. which was $2,600 for that cooler. So total of the tax billing was $28,752 for that repair.
That's tax and everything.
Yeah.
And the seals on that pump, you had a lot of trouble with them leaking, trying to keep seals in it.
Well, the shaft, which is right here,
right,
has packing in that, had a groove that was wore so deep that as it operated, it got built up the water pressure. They had problems keeping that sealed while it was operating.
So that's been rebuilt now?
And did they install some kind of a means of draining that pump?
They couldn't because it's all
I know it's hard.
Hard.
Yeah.
And they couldn't. So it's you gotta pump it out, suck it out, do whatever we can to get it out of there. Yeah, they tried, but it's too hard.
I see a trap there right on your suction side there. Is that somewhere where I can pour antifreeze into that thing?
This?
Yeah. Is that a strainer or
That's
some kind of?
yeah, it's a strainer for rocks, pull rocks and stuff out of it.
Yeah, okay. That would give you access into that. Pump it out as much as you can and then put antifreeze in there to keep it from freezing.
Yeah, that'd be an option.
Yeah, okay. That's not back in the bridge yet.
Oh no, it's sitting out back. They painted a dot off with big little blue. Needs to be redone. Painted with paintbrush. The dog itself, there's a letter back that I in the people. Let's see. I guess I could look at it. Four. Give a letter to proceed for mechanical repairs on the dredge. MLA Board of Directors approved and amended the budget for the repairs for the Ellicott 370 dredge. Your submittal quote was the only received due to the refusal to quote from other small works roster contractors. This is a notice to proceed mechanical repairs of 370 dredge. Dredge amount which I approved was $35,000. And any above, this requires written approval from MLIRD office. Chris Wilson will be the person for contact if I am not available for questions or progress updates. What they're doing right now, they've got it up on sawhorses that they basically built, and they're working on the bottom to check the thicknesses and go through and the corrosion inside from the salt water. It was built in the 80s. Been in salt water most of its life. They're doing evaluation on the structural part, what they can weld to and snap. So we don't have the total of what panels are going to be removed. I don't know if we're going to have to replace all the panels underneath or not. So I can report to you as we get that information.
The 35,000 is based upon a certain number of panels, or how did they come up with that number?
Well, that was my number. They gave quotes for a whole bunch of different items.
Okay.
What I gave them a list was the bottom repairs, and we need to work through those costs and adjust accordingly. It's the only way we can work through that.
Was there any testing on the bottom of this boat when you bought it or not?
Yeah, there's metal thickness testing. There was a bunch of borderline tests on it that we left the thicknesses. But the problem that they ran into is it was sitting on bridge beams, so they got a lot of false readings down those bridge beams on the metal thicknesses. And that happens to be where some of the thin spots are at this point. So that's what we're running into. But yeah, there's a record, which I provided them with the metal thickness record and everything.
what would we be looking at to put a whole new bottom under that thing?
I don't know at this point because it's internal, the expense is the labor on what you have to replace on the internal structure portions to tie all that stuff together. I don't know. That's what I would like to do, is go through and.
I mean, it's all been basically exposed salt water.
And I hate to leave anything in there that's gonna create problems down the road.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you try and
patch it, that's
weld
what you got.
something, you don't have adequate thickness there to weld to, you end up welding to nothing. And that,
that's what we want to stay away from.
Exactly, because from what I understand, they were so thin there in places when we put it in the water that they had trouble trying to even weld some of the spots at that time.
There was a couple of corners, yeah.
So hopefully maybe we.
Oh, well, we'll get it. We'll get it right.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we evaluate it properly.
Did they give you any time limit or any time?
They're working on it right now, so it could be this week. As far as what we're going to be doing.
Knowing what the answers are.
Sorry. I think that's in my reports. You want mine to hold back all the correspondence?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I just gave you my book.
Did we have anything in executive session that you were aware of? Harold, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about in executive session or anything? No. Harold, we're okay. We're okay for that. And I guess we'll get down to the paying of the bills.
What about number 12, Mr. Chairman?
Directors, do you have something? Comments, director's comments?
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for following the prepared agenda this time. This is the first meeting that I have attended since you've been chairman that I was able to follow the prepared agenda and also the support information that has been provided by staff. So it was certainly an improvement over what it's been in the past. Secondly, if you recall when you wanted to do that special project, and you'll have to remind me of the name you gave it, with J.R. Newhouse.
Right.
What was the name you gave that? Procedures audit, I guess that was it. I was told that we didn't have time to wait for a second accounting firm to come in and make a presentation, which would have been 2 weeks later, because this had to be taken care of immediately. Well, now we're into May, and it's still not complete. So that really raises a question in my mind as to this had to be done right now, right away. We couldn't waste any time, and yet we're 5 months into the year.
And I can explain why this is happening.
Secondly, I saw the request from you to ask Mr. Newhouse to look into my telephone payments. As we explained at the last meeting, when I came on board, I was just told that the board members were provided a telephone, and I didn't question it. I was told the others got it, and I said, okay, fine. But you've asked Mr. Newhouse to look into that, as well as my insurance premiums, which I pay monthly. Now, my question to you is, Mr. Newhouse is supposed to be taking direction from the board. I don't recall that ever coming up before the board to ask for permission to do that. And I wondered where you took it upon yourself to make those requests, trying to find what appeared to be to be something that I'm doing wrong or illegally or underhandedly. Can you explain?
Yeah, we're asking for an audit of everything. And when I use the word audit, I'm referring to special procedures. And he's asked that anything I see that looks like it may be out of line, anything else, to give him information feeding that. So when I find that we're paying your bills here, and then I go through the money that you paid back to the district, I find some of the some of your monthly bills were paid as far as your health insurance go?
No, excuse me, that is not true. Don't make that statement, that is not true.
I'm telling you what I found.
Don't make that statement. I have paid every one of my monthly bills.
Well, you didn't pay him.
Excuse me, I have.
Ron, I'm talking. You can talk after I get done here. I found where about 2/3 of your bills had been paid, but I did not find where all your bills were paid, and that's why I asked that maybe he could look into it and see if all the bills were paid, and if not, then let me know about it. But you're the only one that's actually taken the health insurance policy of the board members, and I just want to make sure that in the past, nobody compensated anything back. So this was money that was leaving the taxpayers' money and being spent on a purpose that was totally illegal. And I expect 100% compensation going back if you are receiving health insurance, which you are. So that's the reason I asked that he check and see if 100% of it was paid, or like I found, somewhere around 2/3 of it. Don't look at me like that.
I can show you a canceled check for every month.
That would be great.
I have not taken anything from this district other than things that were provided in accordance with
you asked me, that's
policy.
That's
and
right.
again, you know, you just take it upon yourself to make these requests. You don't go through the board. It's supposed to be board directed, not Mick Hansen directed.
It's not me doing any of this. It's just a matter of fact that I wanted to know this information, and any information that we can give to them, where to look and where not to look. You can go ahead and talk to them same as I can.
I don't step out of my authority. I try to do it before the board.
Yeah, that's good.
It seems to me if we've already got them on this agenda to get this thing done, that this talking back and forth about that thing is kind of moot, because it's all going to come out in the wash at the end, right?
Right. Exactly. And why we're still on this issue and hasn't been taken care of yet. He was trying to get it done before the tax season started, which is, of course, from about 15th of April on back for about a month there. That's when they get extremely busy, and they don't have time for anything else from February up until February 15th, or May, February, March. March 15th, clear up until April 15th. Is usually their extreme bad times, and he tried to get it taken care of before that. He asked Julie a number of times for different information. She was sick for a while, she was on vacation for a while. His ability to get information from his office has been extremely difficult, and so he has worked as much as he can on it. Up until that point, he had to stop, take care of his business that he had in normal, but he said he's back on it again now, and he should have it here within the next week or two. He was hoping to have it for tonight, but it's getting real close.
Sure. I have to correct that statement. It hasn't been hard getting information. Chris Newhouse came up here and downloaded our entire file on all of our accounts and took it down to their office, so I don't know what information.
Yeah, well, he's been asking for a number of different things, and I know that it's been difficult. He said he's asked for it, and I'm not defending him, and I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying that I know that Julia's gone for a couple of weeks on vacation. I know she was gone for a period of time there on sick leave, and he's had trouble getting information from anybody else, and so it seems pretty difficult for him to get the information that he's been asking.
You also should mention the fact that he didn't keep a number of his appointments. He would have appointments with Chris and Julie.
I don't know about that.
Well, you know about the things that support your position, but you don't know the whole picture. And that's the thing that's kind of irritating, especially when you accuse me of taking money from the district to pay for my insurance. So I really don't like that at all.
Yeah, yeah. While we're talking about the agenda items, I have asked since we started here to put the meeting in the form that I would like to see it in. I'm going to give you that form, and that'll make it a whole lot easier for me to work with you and not be adding stuff in here as we go along, having two agendas. I would like to, by not 2 nights from now, but on the next monthly meeting, to have it laid out in that format. If we need it in the form of a motion, we'll make it so, but I think we've already talked about it. I think we've already made it in the form of a motion. And I would ask that that be the format that we use from now on. I'm the longer chairman.
Has legal, have you had a chance to look at the formats and stuff? You're waiting to
The form doesn't matter. Okay. I've tried to get with you in terms of getting an agenda that would represent the district and board. I'd love to meet with you and do that.
Okay.
But it appears that your chairman has directed you.
Yes. Would you mind if we looked at it out with you?
Well, if you can't follow up, then let me know between now and the next meeting. Why? Because
we'll get on it.
I would like to see that format used and make it a whole lot easier for me.
Might I, Mr. Chairman, ask that the Pledge of Allegiance be included in your agenda?
Ron, I'll tell you what's my opinion on that was the fact that our meetings are running way too long. And this is one area that I felt that we could cut it out. When it gets to where our meetings are running shorter, then maybe we talk about adding it back in again. But when we're having 4-hour meetings and 3-hour meetings, and you're the one that's walking out before they're done, at that time, I'd be more than happy to reinstate it. In fact, we can add the Star Spangled Banner, or we can add a number of things if you'd like, a prayer, anything that you'd like to add in at that time. If we can get it down under the 2-hour period for a couple of meetings, I'd be more than happy to start including it back in again.
I don't know why you have chosen to bring up the fact that I walk out of these meetings before they're done because they're too long. That is absolutely not the truth. I have indicated for the record, and it's been in every meeting, that I chose not to be a part of micromanaging the district, and therefore I chose not to participate in signing the checks. And for that reason, I would leave, not because of the link, not because of anything else. So just be straightforward and honest about it. Don't just tell half the story.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at the minutes here, and you walked out when we were preparing these resolutions, resolution 1201, 1202, 1203. The question was asked, well, where's Ron? And he'd already left, and he walked out at the end of the break on that night. So I don't know if that part of what you consider illegal procedures. I don't know, but I know that you walked out. It's right in the minutes there to verify it. So regardless, don't sit here and argue about the length of the meetings. The meetings are running what I consider too long, and when we get them shortened up, if we want to add the national anthem or anything into it at that time, we can go ahead and do it. I talked to a guy today that is in charge of being at 3 different irrigation meetings, and I asked him, do any of your 3 irrigation districts say this flag salute? And he said no. He says we get down to business and we get it done as quickly as possible. I don't know why you feel we have to do it. I'm not against it, but on the other hand, I think we come here to do business, and the shorter we can keep it, for the time being anyway, if we get it, or we get it done in an hour or hour and a half, then fine. But any other?
I guess my one last comment or question of you is that the audience raised a very valid question earlier in the meeting. There was no portion on tonight's agenda for audience questions and comments. You inserted it right at the very beginning of the meeting. It does not allow the audience to ask questions with regard to the business that we have undertaken at the meeting. And I remember you saying when you first came on board that you were going to open this up and people could talk and speak anytime they wanted all they had to do was raise their hand and give their name. And you have just turned away from that completely. And I asked the question, you made the statement in the beginning, and yet you choose not to follow it now, and I can see where they're in a quandary.
I can understand that. And the reason that being, that when you got what I consider a hostile group of people that you're trying to work with, I did not choose to do that. I chose to keep it open, and I did keep it open as long as possible here. But when it gets to where people are not respecting you, not working with you, and doing everything, and slamming and walking out of here, anything else, I don't need that. And that's why I'll give you a chance to make your peace early in the meeting, and at that point from then on, I'm sorry, that's it. And you've made the same comments yourself. When we had study sessions going on the budget, you likewise cut the audience clear off of it, and you didn't allow one word to be spoken. You didn't even.
So you followed him?
I'm sorry.
I have a question about the new agenda. Is there room for public participation or questions?
Yes.
At the beginning, the end, in between?
It's toward the beginning. But you will have the agenda there, and you're willing.
On this current agenda, it says identification.
Yeah.
So if
You know,
we can identify section 14.
I would love to open it back up and call on people.
I don't feel I've been hostile.
Okay, but it was very hostile, and when I get people that sneer, and they, I can hear it even yet tonight when something comes up. There's sneers and things going on, and when that's happening, then we will not be allowing it to happen as far as participation goes. So I would love to open back up again and have a friendly meeting, and I'm hoping that before the end of my term here we can do that. I'd really like to do that because I do.
I know transparency was one of your.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to open it up, and I want to keep it that way. But I didn't ask for a war, but I've got one, and I'm sorry. So we'll
I think you'd find the majority of this crowd is really quite pleasant and would be willing to ask some questions. It's unfortunate we're being punished for the few that you feel we're out of line.
Yeah, that happens every time. And I'm sorry, but like I say, I would love to open it back up and have audience participation again. I really agree with you. And as soon as I feel comfortable doing that again, we will. I promise you. There's no other things. I'd say, Kurt, have you got bills to present before us?
I do not. We think Rich and Ron came in and took care of those checks before Julie took off.
Julie had a list of the check that I signed. She showed it to me, so maybe that would be something we should be seeing.
I agree, but there's nothing. I don't
Okay.
Okay. I understand.
I apologize.
Okay.
She got the word she was going to Germany, and
Julie's
she was out of here.
headed for Germany, and what can we say?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ask for anything extra that's not here, and I understand. So as far as I'm concerned, meeting is adjourned.
Mary, to answer the question, it's not on here. Yeah.
You can see the position. Okay? You got a copy.
My bedtime, it's here. So I said the last meeting was just
When it comes to experience, selection, and value, Moses Lake Music is the largest and most complete store you'll find in the Columbia Basin. If you have children in grade school, high school, or college, they offer monthly rentals of brass, woodwind, and percussion instruments. They also offer lessons from experienced professionals who help get that music lover in your life on the fast track. Moses Lake Music is a proud sponsor of student athletics throughout the Columbia Basin. Come visit us at 530 West Valley Road or give us a call at 764-6667.
For all those who don't know, Broadway Barn Grill, located at 302 West Broadway, is the spot to be every night of the week. Monday through Wednesday night karaoke, Thursday night ladies, it's all for you. Drink specials and a DJ. Friday night live music, blues, rock to heavy metal, and on Saturday nights, come get down with Big Daddy DJ Live and the official Corona party at Broadway Barn Grill, 302 West Broadway in Moses Lake. Don't forget, we have great food, open breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hi, I'm Mark Fancher at Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home. It's still a good time to sell your home, provided you have the right agent. In today's market, it's more important than ever to have the right agent help you sell your home. And at Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home, you'll find sales associates who know how to market your home, help you with the right price, and maximize its curb appeal. Your home is probably the most important asset. Call Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home at 509-766-0300 today.
So, you have a problem. You see, you have this company that wants to sell its, well, products and services into the entire market of the Columbia Basin. So, how do you do that? Now, there's a whole new way. iFIBER's Channel 1 advertising. Channel 1 reaches the entire Columbia Basin. Yes, that includes areas like Moses Lake, Ephrata, Quincy, Soap Lake, Rural City, Grand Coulee, Electric City, Coulee City, Heartline, Mattawa, Desert Air, Warden, Wilson Creek, East Wenatchee, Bridgeport, and Waterville. All from one source. So to advertise on Channel 1, contact sales at iFIBER.tv or call us at 509-754-2600.
Okay, we're back live here. We're just wrapping up the Moses Lake Irrigation and Rehabilitation District meeting. With me is Debbie Martinez with the Moses Lake Chamber of Commerce. This was a very much shorter meeting this time around.
Yes, it was. It was nice to see things move along the agenda and not so many outbursts.
Now, I noticed that you had your hand up and you maybe had some questions during the course of tonight's meeting, and that was kind of one of the things that was taken off the table. The public couldn't really chime in with questions.
Yeah, and that's kind of a 180 from where we started the beginning of the year with the way the chairman said things would run this year. So we've done a complete 180. We'll see where we go from here. I'm very concerned with our quality of our lake and the direction that the district is going right now, and certainly would encourage citizens to get out and become informed before that next election.
Was there any questions in particular that you wish you could have brought up during the course of the meeting tonight?
You know, there's numerous things running through my head from the many meetings that I have attended that I would love to ask questions on, but obviously they don't go there, probably because they don't want us to open up those doors. And I tell you, from open meeting violations to violations of RCWs, the list goes on. And I just encourage people to get out and see what's happening, because this is our lake. This is the economic vitality of our community at stake. And we need to be informed so we can steer the direction that this organization goes in the future.
Yes, thank you, Debbie, so much. We're going to bring Ron Kobe if Ron's ready. Thank you, Debbie. That was Debbie Martinez with Moses Lake Chamber of Commerce.
How would you like to hear?
How about right over here, Ron?
Great.
It's thank you for taking a moment with us. So the meeting did go a little faster tonight.
It did.
And I heard that there's going to be a new type of agenda for the next meetings. Have you had a chance to take a quick look at it yet?
Yes, I did just a moment ago, and it's essentially the same agenda that Chairman Hansen came up with the first meeting that he chaired. And he's used that agenda every meeting until tonight to run the meetings. Now, Mr. Archer and I are left out in the cold because we don't have the agenda ahead of time. He brings it, he hands it out to us, and we start the meeting. So we have no background or support information. We don't know which direction we're going or how we're going to get there. Tonight he used it, I think, simply because he's been on vacation for a month and didn't have a chance to draw up an agenda. But he doesn't comply with the regular rules of providing the general manager on Thursday noon with his agenda comments, and that's something that we've always done. You know, we had a deadline, you put the agenda, all the information together, it's done by staff, and then the board picks it up. But like I say, it's not been handled that way since Mr. Hansen took over.
So in the past, you've had a number of days to help put the agenda together?
The policy that had been established long before I got here was to provide all information that needed to be addressed at a board meeting to the administrative assistant on the Thursday noon, or prior to Thursday noon, preceding the meeting on Tuesday. That way it gave her an opportunity to put the agenda together and then provide it to the board ahead of time so we could actually peruse through it and make ourselves familiar with the information that we were going to be discussing. And it works effectively, and it works well that way, you know. But when we don't have adequate time to look through it, I mean, we're just kind of guessing when we start.
Yes. Now, I did hear a few comments from some of the people who they did want an opportunity to ask questions. Do you guys find that in a meeting like this that people on the street approach you with questions that they weren't maybe able to ask in the meeting like tonight?
All the time. I cannot go downtown without someone stopping me and asking me a question or two about the district. And I'm confronted by ratepayers all the time. And I don't have a problem with that, but I think that they should have an opportunity to question the board at a reasonable time during our board meeting, as long as professional decorum is maintained. I agree with that too. But Mr. Hansen seems to feel that the audience is always against him and they're hostile, and he then chooses not to let them speak now.
I've seen some of the meetings as we broadcasted them. Tonight's meeting seemed like it was pretty calm, and we moved along pretty well, in my opinion. Do you think it's going to continue to get better, and do you think that with that improvement, you guys might want to open it back up for people to interact with the board and ask questions?
Tonight's meeting was certainly the least eventful meeting we've had, and that's kind of nice. I don't like arguments and dissension amongst the board members, but at the same time, I don't feel right about allowing illegal things to happen by the directors. And so I do bring those up, and I have in the past, and it doesn't set well with my other directors. Tonight was a pretty decent meeting, and I do hope that they can continue to improve to where we can conduct and get the business done that we need to without dissension among the board.
Well, you guys have a tough job, and I would not want to be sitting up there with you guys. I give you guys all the credit in the world. But Ron, thank you for taking a minute with us. I don't want to keep you. I know that you guys work hard, and we don't want to keep you here any later. I know that every month you're here late anyway.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. Ron Kobe. And is Mick still here? Okay. Well, we were going to try and get a quick interview with Mick Hansen, but evidently he's left for the evening. So Kelly, I don't if you can hear me. I think that was one of the biggest surprises for the crowd tonight, is not being allowed to ask questions. Even when the meeting was over, I approached a few people to see if they would like to say something, or bring up some of the issues that they couldn't bring up during the meeting. And there was a few people who were upset over that. It was kind of a so to speak, a fine print detail in the agenda.
Cody, it was, I agree, it was a bit of a surprise. There was no pre-announcement of this to the public, so...
may have lost our connection with Kelly down in our studio.
We're here, Cody. Can you hear us okay?
Well, Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm kind of flying blind right now, but meetings tend to, it looks like they are improving a little bit, and we'll see what happens next month.
Okay, so that's Cody. We're going to go ahead and cut out here. And if somebody here in the control room will get a hold of Cody and say, great job. Interesting meeting. So where do we go from here? Well, it sounds like they've got an executive session sort of thing going on Thursday. We're going to get a little more information on that if we can. Let's see if we can't. Here I am running everything as I'm trying to talk, and it's a walking and chewing gum thing for me. But either way, one of the biggest surprises I think we saw tonight is that you have no pre-warning of the way that the meetings have been done since January. People have been able to comment kind of throughout the whole process. Not that we're saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, just it's the thing. It's what really happened. And tonight, what of course changed, which surprised I think the majority of the audience, is that they no longer are able to speak on what they just heard. So it's going to be difficult. In fact, it's in some ways kind of difficult because the audience shows up, they're handed an agenda, they're extremely vague on what these items are, and then they're going to hear about it, but they can't comment. And what changed tonight, which was interesting, because normally public comment happens at about the 3/4 mark of the meeting. That's the way that the meeting has been conducted so far by Chairman Hansen. But tonight, which was kind of interesting, which we made some comment back here in the control room, that happened at the beginning of the meeting. So as soon as he got into the rest of it, and as soon as somebody wanted to speak, they were shut down. There was no opportunity to really comment to what they just heard for the first time. So now what's going to happen, although there have been speakers on, let's say the folks that have supported Hansen, voted for Hansen, and I say that because their comments are very obviously in the Hansen camp, have been allowed to go on way beyond the 3-minute mark. We think of a gentleman who spoke now twice at the last couple of meetings that's gone on to 5 or 6 minutes. And then, of course, Chairman Hansen has joked about it. But coming back to this, you're now going to have to take notes for what you just heard and now wait 30 days to be able to make comment, any comment from the public as far as what you are or are not in favor of that Mr. Hansen has just put out to the audience. So it's interesting. It's going to be really tough to really, as far as the public goes, I think they're going to get even more adrift, and I think you're going to see even more division here. And at the end of the day, I think that's going to play along in the months to come, and you're going to see a pretty aggressive election, I think, this year, because of course, Director Rich Archer is up for re-election, and it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of the woodwork on that. And beyond that, I would also comment. Yes, it's been a much more calmer, gentler meeting, than we've seen in the past. And maybe that is a sign of things to come, but that's a little deceiving in that if you think, again, part of what has been expressed, which Mick has now labeled twice as that lynch mob, as that that group that is so disruptive, when in fact what we've witnessed on video is actually even his own brother yelling profanity across the room at another candidate or another individual that was at the meeting. So that group has been as vocal as this group, as the other group. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But anyway, you're watching iFIBER 1, and we do appreciate you joining us this evening. One of these things is we never know quite when they're going to end. So we're always at the mercy of a live program here and what we got to talk about in order to fill time. We got about 13 minutes left, and then we'll be cutting out. And I'm sure our guy Bobby is scrambling to figure out what he's going to bring up an hour earlier than what was originally scheduled. And we may have to modify these times for the next one. Of course, as soon as we do, it'll be over. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut out the commercial here. This is Kelly Ryan back in the control room of iFIBER 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Lake Music is the largest and most complete store you'll find in the Columbia Basin. If you have children in grade school, high school, or college, they offer monthly rentals of brass, woodwind, and percussion instruments. They also offer lessons from experienced professionals to help get that music lover in your life on the fast track. Moses Lake Music is a proud sponsor of student athletics throughout the Columbia Basin. Come visit us at 530 West Valley Road or give us a call at 764-6667.
For all those who don't know, Broadway Barn Grill, located at 302 West Broadway, is the spot to be every night of the week. Monday through Wednesday night karaoke. Thursday night, ladies, it's all for you. Drink specials and a DJ. Friday night live music, blues, rock to heavy metal. And on Saturday nights, come get down with Big Daddy DJ Live and the official Corona party at Broadway Barn Grill, 302 West Broadway in Moses Lake. Don't forget, we have great food, open breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hi, I'm Mark Fancher at Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home. It's still a good time to sell your home, provided you have the right agent. In today's market, it's more important than ever to have the right agent help you sell your home. And at Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home, you'll find sales associates who know how to market your home, help you with the right price, and maximize its curb appeal. Your home is probably the most important asset. Call Caldwell Banker Tomlinson Ranch and Home at 509-766-0300 today.
So you have a problem. You see, you have this company that wants to sell its, well, products and services into the entire market of the Columbia Basin. So, how do you do that? Now, there's a whole new way. iFIBER's Channel 1 advertising. Channel 1 reaches the entire Columbia Basin. Yes, that includes areas like Moses Lake, Ephrata, Quincy, Soap Lake, Rural City, Grand Coulee, Electric City, Coulee City, Heartline, Mattawa, Desert Air, Warden, Wilson Creek, East Wenatchee, Bridgeport, and Waterville. All from one source. So to advertise on Channel 1, contact sales at iFIBER.tv or call us at 509-754-2600. It is really hard to hear yourself in a commercial and then cut back and make some interesting commentary or monologue. You know, we've got about 8 minutes. I wanted to spend just a few minutes here to not necessarily summarize, because I think we just kind of did that in the last session, but maybe talk about, you know, where some of the issues, at least in my opinion, have come up throughout the series of these meetings. You know, again, I think Debbie Martinez with the Chamber of Commerce, you know, said it. This is Moses Lake. I mean, this is one of the most important assets here with this county of Grant County, and along with our PUD, and in some other things. And the businesses are coming, man. If you're not excited about what's happening here in Grant County, you need to start, you know, reading up and listening to what businesses are moving in, or what jobs are coming into our market because of things like fiber, because of things, and again, back like our lake. So some of the issues to me, and I'm going to hit on one just tonight. So although there has been a pledge of allegiance, Mick Hansen and Rich Harcher have decided, I guess, that that's not going to be there anymore. And so we will no longer start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. That to me, although not significant, but interesting. So let's talk about some of the things here to summarize really just a few of the issues over the last 5 or 6 months. Let's start with the governance policy. As if you've been following along, there have been a lot of issues discussed, well, we'll say discussed, between Rich Archer, Mick Hansen to Ron Covey, where Ron has reminded them that what you're doing is in violation, allegedly, according to him, to the governance policy, which has been put in place since about 2010, as we understand. A governance policy that's being required by the state, Washington State auditors. And along with that, the insurance company for the district itself. And so when these challenges have come along, have you read your governance policy, Mr. Hansen, Mr. Archer? What he's responded back with is, yes, I've read them, but then he moves forward with what Ron, Director Covey has said is the violation. And according to some of the numbers that we've seen here at iFIBER, those numbers have kind of crawled up to 20 plus. So I guess the way that issue has been addressed is that in the last meeting, they just eliminated the governance policy. So the district, best to our knowledge right now, is conducting themselves in these meetings without any governance policy. And that's also why within one meeting, although again, there's been some that have said that the attorney that was hired did not ever come in for an interview, did not ever really respond to the request for that information, got hired within the second meeting that was done. And I think that meeting was the meeting before the April, so that'd been the March 27th meeting. And even though he's there, they needed to do that. Mick Hansen, Rich Archer needed to have him in place before they could throw the governor's policy out. So what they've said is that the governor's policy now will be put to the new attorney that we just hired. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. The governor's policy, though, that was referred to in so many of those earlier meetings, as we understand, it's gone. There is none. So we're in violation, again, from what we understand, we're in violation with Washington State's RCWs. So let's talk about the budget. The budget that was agreed on, I think that was within the third or fourth meeting, the district's own attorney said was out of compliance with the RCWs. But again, on a 2-to-1 vote, Mick Hansen, Rich Archer, and against then Ron Covey was chosen, was voted in. So a lot of these things, and another interesting thing to note on the budget is that, as I understand, this is the highest dollar budget we have ever had in the district's history. So the campaign promise was to cut the budget in half and to double the productivity of the district. And first year in, it looks like we are going to be over budget, and in fact has pretty much stopped any work going on with the lake. So when it comes to irrigation and rehabilitation, I'm not sure at the end of the day, at least from what we've seen, that that's still there, that there's going to be any work done, when in fact we're going to spend more money this year than we ever have. So the other thing to talk about is this mobile home. What you heard him talking about tonight was site A, B, and C. I'm not sure, again, now I'm just editorializing here a little bit, but we understand that there was one site. I think what happened tonight was that the staff went out and reviewed the issue, came back with 3 different sites that were possible to locate this mobile home. And it sounded like that they were pushing for site C. And again, I think, and again, I'm not totally sure on this, but that site A was what Rich and Mick were wanting. So you heard some exchange going back and forth on that. Unfortunately, we didn't have those maps. I pulled one quickly together that we were able to cut out to. But what you have is a difference of opinions on where to locate this, but to a lot of the ratepayers, and at least again to where we sit viewing all of this, there's a big question, and we have put this challenge to Mr. Hansen. When somebody says, as Mr. Hansen, as Chairman Hansen has said, that you have, we can make this pay for itself in 2 years or less, but yet there's never been anything put to paper. So that was a shock to iFIBERONE when we requested to get a copy of that projection. Apparently there wasn't any. Nobody in the staff has seen one. Nobody, as far as the rest of the directors, have seen one. So we requested in the last meeting in April to see a copy of a projection on how this pencils out. And Mr. Hansen's reply back to iFIBERONE is that they would have one, but it would be 60 days from now, which is kind of ironic compared to the fact that he has put so much pressure on the staff and everybody else to perform in weeks what normally takes months. And I think we're going to push back on this. As far as I'm concerned, we would like to see possibly where these projections are, where these numbers come in, and et cetera. So we are about at the end here. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us here and iFIBERONE. We try very hard to bring you the facts and let you make the decision. It's our lake. We care about it, and we care about our economic development here, and that's #1 at iFIBER Communications. So you folks have a wonderful night, and thank you for joining us.